This essay example, as well as thousands of others, is available in text format on our website for free and without registration. Simply Google Ivy Panda Free Essays.
Introduction. Many historians have agreed that the Romantic period revolutionized the world of music composition. Henning argues that the era was characterized by innovative lyrical melodies, emotional expressions, and rich harmonies. Most of the composers during the era were inspired by the desire to entertain people and achieve eternity through music. Many composers of the Romantic era are remembered today because of their timeless contributions to different genres. Most of these musicians transformed the nature of music. One of the outstanding figures of the Romantic era was Franz Liszt. This research paper gives a detailed analysis of the works and achievements of this distinguished composer. Franz Liszt. Life. Liszt was born in 1811 in Hungary. He was taught by his father, Adam, how to compose music. Liszt had already become a famous pianist by the age of 9. He appeared in different concerts at such a tender age. Antonio Salieri eventually admired the young boy's ingenuity. He chose to train him without receiving any payment. Liszt traveled across Europe with his father. Adam later requested Ferdinando Payer to teach Liszt. Payer's guidance made it easier for Liszt to compose his first opera. He gave it the name Don Sanche. At the age of 15, Liszt's father died, thus forcing him to quit music completely. He decided to focus on other forms of art and literature. However, Liszt read numerous books that reshaped his future career objectives. Liszt as a composer. During his early 20s, Liszt mastered the art of music composition. He was also a good pianist. In 1833, the young man befriended Countess Marie Diegolt, who encouraged him to compose various romantic pieces. This period led to the composition of an album titled Years of Pilgrimage. By the year 1834, the composer had managed to produce 3 apparitions. Throughout the 1840s, the Romantic composer was admired by music enthusiasts across Europe. He was also believed to be a successful pianist during the time. Music historians have argued that Liszt was a natural performer. His compositions and presentations were guided by feelings. However, Liszt's style became more personal after the death of his father. The composer attended many events and performed music across Europe during his years as a traveling virtuoso. Saffle indicates that Liszt's repertoire revolved around his transcriptions, paraphrases, and compositions. The pianist also reworked several musical compositions, such as the Hexameron. He also gave numerous piano recitals, thus transforming the nature of music composition. Music compositions and achievements. Franz Liszt wrote numerous works and composed many pieces throughout his career. The world remembers this legendary musician because of his compositions. One of his major achievements was the symphonic poem. This is an orchestral genre characterized by a single movement. The musician was fascinated by the concept of unity. Consequently, most of his virtuosic compositions made him one of the most famous composers of the era. He managed to pioneer new techniques in music, such as thematic transformation. The technique was characterized by variation and the leitmotif. Liszt's Years of Pilgrimage is a masterpiece that presents some of his provocative pieces. Most of his works were subdivided into 2 major categories. The first category was characterized by original works. Such works focused on his experiences, feelings, and anticipations. Some of his original compositions include the Piano Sonata in B minor, which was produced in 1853. He also came up with the famous harmonies Poétiques et religieuses in the year 1833. The second category was comprised of different transcriptions. These transcriptions revolved around fantasies and paraphrases of works by different pianists. His fantastic compositions focused on operatic ideas and melodies. He rearranged the piano arrangements and symphonies of works by celebrated pianists such as Beethoven and Berlioz. The composer also managed to make new arrangements for his vocal works, pieces, and instrumentals. The second movement of Liszt's Faust Symphony is a good example of this kind of rearrangement. Many historians also indicate that the music composer came up with different piano transcriptions. Over 50% of the transcriptions composed by Liszt were rearrangements of other composers' works. The composer played such compositions every single day. He also performed and entertained many people using such transcriptions. Wojtczak observes that the composer's transcriptions popularized different music works. He popularized most of Beethoven's symphonies by presenting them in different celebrated performances. One of his biggest achievements was his ability to ameliorate the works of different composers. As a result, many people and composers believed strongly that most of Liszt's transcriptions were superior and admirable. He became a celebrated figure because of such ameliorations and works. He achieved this goal by modifying specific aspects such as the melody, harmony, and bass. Franz Liszt also came up with powerful organic music compositions. Such compositions were influenced by many artists in Weimar, Germany. Some of the major organic works by the composer included the Prelude and Fugue on Bach. From 1848 to 1858, the composer produced 12 symphonic poems. The artist embraced various concepts associated with Romantic literature, imagination, history, and mythology. Such concepts made it easier for Liszt to achieve most of his goals in music. Towards the end of his career, Liszt chose to take the augmented triad instead of the minor or major triads, whereby musicians could add dissonances. The self-inspired composer also experimented with new concepts, such as atonality and the use of forbidden approaches. Such attributes were evident in some of his compositions, such as the Bagatelle sans Tommelite. Historians argue that most of Liszt's unconventional compositions were revolutionary. The works and compositions continued to inspire many artists throughout the Romantic period. This fact explains why many upcoming musicians and pianists were keen to study the works of this renowned composer. Conclusion. The success and legacy of the Romantic period are usually attributed to the grand works of different composers such as Franz Liszt. Historians and scholars have argued that Franz Liszt was a hero who produced powerful masterpieces during the Romantic era. The Hungarian artist, composer, teacher, and pianist also influenced the nature of Romantic music. Liszt's works were characterized by originality and ability to influence. His achievements and transcriptions explain why he was renowned across the continent throughout the Romantic period. In conclusion, future generations will always remember Franz Liszt for his compositions, works, influences, and inspirations. This research paper on Franz Liszt as a Romantic period composer was written and submitted by a student just like you. The Ivy Panda Samples database hosts thousands of works similar to this one on various subjects. Visit ivypanda.com to find what you are looking for, free of charge.